Now, welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Horse Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
All right, we're jumping back into The Mandalorian. We have an interview with Katee Sackhoff, who, of course, played Lady Bo-Katan Kryze. She did a, 80-minute interview with Christian Harloff. It was up on his YouTube channel.
That's a long interview.
It was good. It was full of,
It's like a conversation at that point.
It really is. But he asks a lot of the questions, I think, that run through fans' minds and not just what run through a journalist's mind when they're talking to a character, so I really like that. The third season of Mando was focused a lot on Bo-Katan.
That is an understatement.
It's an understatement.
Some could even say she is the Mandalorian now.
Oh, don't go there. Katee Sackhoff, she first explained how they talked kind of about potentially including some of her backstory into the show a little more. Some of the events and things that were depicted in the animated series.
Well, why wouldn't you?
Time. Here's what she said.
Could make time.
We spoke about it for sure. I think the problem with a show like this is that you're straddling that line between keeping the episodes shorter and then stuffing them so full. You can't do everything you want to do, and there's definitely a lot that the fans want to see. There's a lot I want to know. We've talked about her backstory, we've talked about everything that happened, and I really loved those moments when we saw a different side of Bo. We saw the pain, we saw the regret, and I always would love to have more of those. Selfishly. Maybe in a different place, a different time.
More character moments would be nice, yeah.
It kind of goes along with what we talked about with Dave Filoni the other day.
Yeah, I did a whole video on that, actually.
That he wants to keep the episodes shorter so they flow faster and kind of keep the rhythm for the entire runtime. But I would have appreciated getting more of these moments where we maybe go over some of her backstory from Rebels.
Yeah.
Not all of the audience has seen it, Dave.
I would imagine a lot of them actually haven't seen Clone Wars or Rebels, especially Rebels.
Right. It'd be really cool if they included some of those moments.
I don't see why not. I talked about it a lot, but I don't see the need to hold on to this faster, more intense rule to just keep everything moving all the time.
Well, if they want to stick with this runtime of 35-ish minutes, fine. Give us some extra episodes. Don't be holding yourself to be like, we can only do 8.
Yeah, it just seems like they have such a
10,
really
12.
Yeah, they have a really weird approach to it, in my opinion.
You're on
I don't know why.
Service.
Yeah,
you
there's so many
don't have
things.
to just do 8.
Well, I mean, I don't get it. I just do not get their approach or why they are doing the things they do sometimes.
Katee Sackhoff actually went on and explained that scene in the 7th episode of the season where she rallies the Mandalorians to go take back their home planet was initially much longer and featured an epic speech similar to the speech William Wallace gave in Braveheart.
I was just going to say, is it a Braveheart speech?
Yes, in that it was significantly cut down in the editing room.
Why?
She said,
what are they afraid of? That we're going to turn it off? Like, oh my God, she's talking for 2 minutes.
Long,
turn it
long.
off. I can't watch this anymore.
She said, when Bo gives her speech of we're going to get back Mandalore with 2 different clans, that scene was much longer. That scene was super long. This is the rousing thing. You're inspiring these 2 separate clans to get out there and go retake their homeworld. It has to be emotional. It has to be big. And for whatever reason, it got cut down a lot. I love this entire season. I thought it was fun. But that moment for me was like, I wish they'd given more context to what happened right before, because I think that would have made the speech land heavier. And the majority of the takes I did were William Wallace-esque.
I love that she seems disappointed too. I want to see, you know what I want to see? And I'm dead serious. I'm not just saying this like for the heck of it. I want to see some unedited episodes of The Mandalorian.
Just to see the full length.
I want to see where they start and where it ends up. Like, just one. Release one. Let the fans see it. And if we're like, yeah, you're right, you should edit all this out, keep going. But if not, if we're like, yeah, this is so much better, then let's embrace the longer episodes.
Like I said, you're a streaming service. We're okay with this.
Yeah, if I don't like it, I'll fast forward through it,
or
right?
I'll pause and I'll come back and watch it later.
I don't get it. After watching Andor, especially when you see what a more long-form, slow burn Star Wars show can be. And again, I say it all the time, Mandalorian does not have to be Andor, but it could be it could tilt just a little bit in that direction from time to time.
Tip its toe into a little deeper selection.
Yes, test out the deep waters. And I don't mean with just Dr. Pershing, which a lot of people didn't like because he feels like a completely random character out of nowhere. I get why people didn't like that. But why not an episode of Bo-Katan? We discussed an episode of like a flashback of Bo-Katan and Moff Gideon and the whole scenario with the Darksaber. Why not do something like that?
When she said, that they talked about putting her backstory in, I was really hoping we would see some of that. And
remember, she has a sister?
What? They didn't mention
Satine?
that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And perhaps another sister or brother who gave birth or somehow fathered Corky?
Yeah. Here's something else interesting that she said. This entire season, I took her entire backstory with me. That was one of the things I wanted to focus on. This is her redemption arc. She has to be relatable. She has to win people over. And if she doesn't, the whole season won't work. So I think that a way that people can be forgiven and find atonement is to be genuinely regretful and remorseful of the things they've done in the events of their past. To hear Bo say that she did surrender, this person whose ego has driven her for so long, and to see that she only surrendered because it was the only option she had. The destruction that continued after that was heartbreaking, and I thought in my mind, the only reason he didn't kill her was because he wanted her to live with that, and that's why she hates him so much.
Makes sense.
Well, yeah, because we actually know the backstory.
Wouldn't that have been so much better than just like, I gave him the Darksaber and he betrayed me? Dang it.
Well, it's just crazy because she is the actress, and of course she was the voice of bo-katan.
Yep.
She knows all this backstory, and we know all the backstory. A lot of the fans know the backstory, but for the people who are watching it, they're gonna miss some of this deep performance. Be like, why is she regretting things? Why is she? Because she's partially responsible for the death of her sister.
If you haven't seen Clone Wars and Rebels, she's just a character that shows up in season 2 and hangs out with Din, and it apparently has some sort of history with Mandalore.
They do leave out some of the big details. I mean, she's lost Mandalore multiple times.
I would love to, if you know somebody in your life who hasn't seen Clone Wars and Rebels, not that big of a Star Wars fan, ask them what they think about Bo-Katan. Like, what's her story? Like, what do you get out of her? Be really curious.
Right. How much do you care about her without knowing all of the layers?
Would you like to see more of her? Do you wish you knew more about her? Are you disappointed that she kind of steals the show from Din, or are you just disappointed that you didn't learn why she stole the show from Din?
Well, in a previous interview, she said she spent a good chunk of time under the helmet, but having her stunt double be alongside her did allow her to spend more time with her newborn than she imagined. In this new interview, she clarified that she is in her suit 80% of the time, except when it's much better for her stunt double to take over. Case in point, the scene where she first wields the Darksaber when trying to rescue Din in the second episode, she says, that was a scene I was there very little. Her stunt double, Joanna Bennett, she said, we talked about how big this season is, right? There are 2 moving units at all times. There are very few scenes that I saw. I don't want to say few. There are scenes that I saw that I was not there. I would say 80% of them I was there, and I did at least once, if not most of it. But that being said, Jo is a phenomenal athlete. I mean, she literally doubles Brie Larson. She's amazing. To have me do the scenes where you know she's going to go in there with the helmet on and look 10 times better, it's just stupid to have me try. That being said, that last fight with Moff Gideon in the finale, I did as much of it as I could.
Well, she had the helmet off for the whole thing, so... Mm-hmm. So it's harder to, swap in someone else without it being obvious or having to do a lot of CG work. And now I think we should do Pedro Pascal. What do you think his percentage is? I'm not trying to be mean. 10. Like, I know he's a busy dude, but, like, what is his percentage?
Did he get in the suit at all this season? Or did
he didn't have
just
to
do voice work?
He literally didn't have to. The helmet never came off.
About.
It could literally be 0. I don't want to believe that, and we've heard from some people who were on set that, yes, Pedro was there, so it's probably not 0.
But was he in the suit, was the question.
That's true.
Okay, he was there, but was he in the suit?
I don't know. I'm not trying to bad talk Pedro Pascal. I think he's a great guy, great actor, but I don't think his percentage was anywhere near as high as Bo-Katan's or Katee Sackhoff's.
Moving on to the other Mandalorians, Mercedes Varnado, who plays Casca Reeves, she actually spent very little time on set as she was busy with her wrestling career. But when talking about her, Katee Sackhoff brought up the hot topic of Axe Woves' disappearance in the final episode of the second season. When he just was gone, remember?
It was his day off.
No, it's more than that. Things that I did not know.
We need a comic book called Axe Woves' Day Off. Right there.
Sackhoff was asked about this in the interview, and she used to joke that he was just in the bathroom in the past. Well, apparently, he was supposed to die in Chapter 11, the episode that introduced Bo-Katan in the series, but the death was edited out.
Wow, what do they keep in these shows?
He was you know why he didn't show up in that episode? He was dead.
Could you imagine? I don't know the actor's name. Forgive me, but imagine being the actor who plays him, and you get a call. Yeah, we're gonna need you back. Like, I died, didn't I? Nah, we cut that out.
We cut that out. You're actually not dead, just like Shakti.
And now you're actually gonna play a pretty important role in season 2. Shakti's died like 6 times.
She says, Axe we knew was supposed to die last year. That was the thing no one could talk about. There was this moment where he sacrifices himself in that episode, and he did it. We shot it. And then they were like, it needs to be Din, not him. And so then you shoot a person's death, and then there's a scene left, and they're like, where did that go? Oh, well, he's pooping.
He took the day off.
Yeah, it must have been that hallway where Din ran down and got shot a whole bunch of times.
He got shot like 16 times, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, that was going to be Axe just running out there
but
in his
Axe
armor.
was actually going to die.
The irony is, like, they were going to hit Axe between the Beskar, but they couldn't hit Din between the Beskar.
No.
Curious how that works.
So, Axe had a day off.
Axe had a day off.
A rough day in the bathroom.
I'm sure he's fine with that day off.
He ate some bad Malurin. And then, of course, when you talk about the death scenes, there was that Paz Vizsla scene.
Best scene in the season. If I had to rank it, I think that's my
He sacrificed himself for the rest to escape.
I like that.
Sackhoff described how hard it was to shoot that scene for them. She said, that was a hard scene to shoot. I love Tate Fletcher. It's Paz's stunt double. He's the voice of him this season, too. Tate's one of the coolest people. I mean, talk about steady as a rock and just a phenomenal person. So cool to have around. And shooting that scene, because Bo is the last one. You know, in the day when you shoot these things, you want to make sure that they land. Leaving another Mandalorian behind is very hard for Bo. And especially having known him and having known them for a while now, it was hard. She knows he's not coming out of that. He knows that he just sacrificed himself for them, for her. That's crazy. And I wanted her to run back and not want to leave. And in situations like this, you get overruled. You realize that the story is not about you. And you take your ego out of it. And you're like, but I want to go back. But that's not how the story is right now.
Hey, they could have always edited it out. Until it actually aired. I'm sure Tate watched the episode. He's like, please edit it out. Please edit it out. I want to be back for season 4.
He's going, did they edit out my funeral, though?
Yeah, they edited out the part where my son mentions me, or anybody mentions me.
Speaks of my bravery to my son?
Yeah, like Katee Sackhoff's all distraught here, but don't mention him later on.
Wouldn't she want to be the one who goes and tells?
It makes me wonder if that whole scene was longer.
Maybe.
And they did edit out mentioning Paz.
I bet you they did.
Wow, like, I want to see unedited Mandalorian episodes. I need it.
Mando episodes.
Just one of them. I want to see what we're working with.
What did we have?
What is going on here?
We've joked about how Pedro Pascal hasn't been there much this season. Sackhoff kind of talked about how she primarily worked with Brendan Wayne and Lateef Crowder. She says those guys are there all the time, and they put the character together with Pedro. It's literally those 3 guys. You can't do the character without the 3 of them. And I think...
Or could you?
And I think that's something they've realized as we've gone on. You can't do Bo with just me. It's impossible. You've got not only the fighting, but then the acting. You have the sheer fact that you have 2 units going at all times. I can't be in 2 places at the same time. I tried. This season was running back and forth to the back lot and having to change out pauldrons. And then sprinting back and forth, killing myself trying to do it. And I was like, just put someone else. But there are moments where I can tell when it's not me. I can tell when it's not me standing there, and it kills me. Because I have such ownership over this character. But I realize it's not about me. If it works for the fans, then that's what matters.
All right.
Mm-hmm. The last thing they asked her was about if we'll see her in Ahsoka or Skeleton Crew. She replied, I think it's all possible. I've said this from day one. As long as she's alive, it works in the world. So I don't know. We'll have to see. It's definitely above my pay grade, but it's possible.
Be cool to see her in Ahsoka.
Wouldn't it, though?
Again, yeah.
I want to see those 2 reconnect.
Yeah, I'd be more than okay with that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, I guess we'll briefly mention the last Mando Mania was Tuesday. We had actual Mandalorian figures this time, not Book of Boba Fett figures.
Well, one of them was actually from season 3, too.
What's crazy is those probably weren't ever Book of Boba Fett figures. It is Mandalorian 2.0. 2.5? 2.5.
Interesting. Conspiracy theory thickens.
Vintage Collection got a speeder bike with Grogu and Scout Trooper.
From season 1. Which you already have that in the Black Series.
Yes, but we didn't have it in the Vintage.
It's fine, yeah.
Black Series got the Mandalorian Fleet Commander, who they deemed not to give a name to.
Does he have a name? I think he does.
Everybody, but you didn't. You just want to call him Mandalorian Fleet Commander. You can't army build with him. They'll have distinct armor.
Well, they're going to army build with him because they're going to just
army build with
tweak little pieces here and put different helmets on and color or repaint things. Yeah, they're going to army build with him in a different way. We'll see that. We'll see that guy again.
Yes, we will. But it's like they purposely make sure that all the Mandalorians look very different so that you can't army build them yourself. They're like, well, you could buy 30 of them and paint them yourselves, or just wait and we'll release them one at a one.
we release them, and every time we release one, we charge an extra $1.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yep. All right, well, that is going to be all we got for you this time. So now it's your turn to take to the comments below and tell us what you think of any and all of today's news. Do you want to see some unedited episodes of The Mandalorian? Not that they ever will, but God, I'd actually really like to see that. Anyway, leave those comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.